What does the head of the Divination Commission, the Eon of Knowledge and Erudition, and a faceless genius have in common? Surprisingly, quite a lot. In Star Rail, there are many who wish to uncover the future, and truth be told, who wouldn't? From high-ranking government officials to religious fanatics, the future is an ever-enticing piece of forbidden fruit. To know something before it has happened grants anyone the power and control over their destinies and lives. Some within the Star Rail universe have even found ways to actually peer into the future. But knowing about something that hasn't happened yet isn't actually a blessing like many would believe. And in truth, it can actually be a curse or a trap. In fact, knowing the future might be what changed Polka Kakamond from an unassuming genius into the merciless killer we have heard all about, and that's what we'll be talking about in this video. Before I confuse you with the nonsense that is this theory, if you want to see more Honkai Star Rail content, do consider subscribing to the channel. Each character that I'll speak about before reaching the climax of this theory comes from different backgrounds and are separated by both time and space. Despite this, each of them has at some point pursued the elusive future, and in one form or another, they've paid dearly for their curiosity. Let's start off with the master diviner of the Xianzhou Luofu, Fuxuan. Now, I've talked about Fuxuan in another video where I discussed her past and how she became the diviner she is today. If you want a detailed account of what I'm going to talk about, you can go check that video out. But the summarized version is that when she first got into divination, she did so because she believed that discerning the future is the only way she can prevent the loss of lives. If you knew ahead of time what was going to happen, you can plan accordingly to avoid enemy ambushes, pitfalls or traps, and even random unforeseen events. Fuxuan thought that it was all about effort, and the more time and dedication you put into divination, the clearer the future becomes, and the easier it is to change the outcome. With enough testing, one could find the right way to circumnavigate a predestined future and change the outcome. Unfortunately, she learned the hard way that the future is not so easy to change. Through some hardships, she came to accept what her master was trying to teach her many years ago, in that everything in life is predetermined and cannot be altered. You cannot change your destiny any more than a fish can change the course of a river. She even went so far as to meet with Nous, gaining access to their temple to learn the secrets of divination and if the future is truly set in stone. The Xianzhou Alliance had always thought highly of the Wisdom Walker, and the primary tool used in their divination, the Matrix of Prescience, was inspired by the Eon of Erudition themselves. While she did come face to face with the Eon and ask whether the future was immutable, all she got was a riddle. Nous responded by saying that they cannot give her an answer, only a problem, and the capacity to perceive that problem. Upon request, Nous also granted Fuxuan with the third eye, a tool that would allow her to see the outcome of the future regardless of whether it can be changed or not, and only warn her that all she would see and experience is pain. So Fuxuan's story tells us, or at least hints, that the future is likely fixed, and while one can see it, it's unlikely a mortal could do anything to change it. Attempting such a thing is essentially futile, and Fuxuan's own experiences taught her this lesson the hard way. But Fuxuan is functionally still just a mortal. Could an Eon achieve such a feat? Well, let's talk about the Wisdom Walker next. Nous was once but a humble computer, created out of the garage of Xander 1 Kuwabara for him to download music on LimeWire. Yeah, see how many of you get that reference. In reality, Nous was created to find the most important answer of all, the meaning of life and the universe. In its effort to do so, Nous collected and analyzed so much information that it ascended into the Eon of Erudition, and some say it actually found the answers it was designed to look for. After ascending, it continued to gather information, and with all this collected data, Nous became quite adept at predicting the future. However, they didn't accomplish this feat through mystical abilities like looking at a crystal ball or something, but rather through analysis and pattern prediction. Because of this, people started searching out Nous to get answers for their questions. Some wanted to know how to cure their loved ones of disease or the secrets of the universe, but others wanted Nous to tell them about their future. Initially, it was thought that Nous was very open to sharing its knowledge, and anyone that found them would get a straightforward answer and perhaps even enlightenment. But somewhere along the line, something changed. For some reason, Nous had stopped all its calculations, and anyone who found their temple would only get questions when they asked questions of their own. It seemed as though they had given up or perhaps refrained from providing direct answers. Now maybe they wanted to elevate humanity to the heights of erudition by having them reach their own answers, but perhaps there's another reason altogether why Nous stopped giving answers. It's possible that Nous realized that providing answers without limits, especially ones that inform others of their future, wasn't a good idea. It likely learned the hard way that revealing the future to those who aren't ready inevitably trapped them. It caused those who wanted the futures to happen become fixated on realizing them, and those that didn't want the future to come to pass, like Fuxuan, would end up being devastated when they inevitably fail to change it. Now, this isn't proven in any way since we don't know why Nous suddenly changed its approach, and I've covered other alternatives in my other video, but Polka Kakamond's story might give us a possible answer. Much like all of you, I've been enamored with Polka Kakamond ever since we learnt about her. Who is she? Why is she going around killing geniuses? And why does she remain faceless? Much like the other two candidates before me, I made a video talking about her as well, which you can check out if you're curious. In that video, I speculated that perhaps she realized Nous didn't have the answers and became angry, or that maybe she believed that the other members of the Genius Society were not worthy of the group. But at the time, I failed to realize something. Something that took responding to one of you in the comments to realize. What if Polka Kakamond, within the spectrum of geniuses, wasn't angry or self-serving? What if she was a fanatic and was on the extreme end of Nous's followers, taking everything the god of erudition says as gospel? Maybe she had learnt from Nous of its predictions of the future and in her fanaticism wanted to ensure they happened at all costs. If the future didn't turn out how her god said it would, then maybe Nous wasn't the god she thought they were. Perhaps this started off her stint as the Faceless Assassin, killing off Rupert and Bodan, fellow Genius Society members, not because of their discoveries or legacies, but because Nous's predictions said they had to die. Instead of a mindless killer, Polka Kakamond could very well be a devoted zealot. This could also be why Nous stopped providing futures to others that seek them out. Maybe having unleashed the menace that is Polka Kakamond, the god of erudition learned one final lesson: the dangers of knowledge and erudition. Since then, it has only ever given questions in place of answers because humanity just isn't ready to accept the future for what it is. And so, Nous hid away the future they had divinated and refrained from creating more Polka Kakamonds. What's interesting is that if Kakamond really wants to ensure Nous's future comes to pass, I think this might also be how she ends up crossing paths with us, the Trailblazer. I've long thought that the Trailblazer has the innate ability to change fate itself, and again, I've talked about that very theory in another video. So if Polka Kakamond is adamant about ensuring Nous's future happens, maybe someone appearing in the setting that can go against it will be considered an enemy. Now, by this point in the video, I'm sure you understand why I keep saying the future is a trap and why I mentioned that these three random characters have something in common. Fuxuan was fixated on changing the negative outcomes she learned through divination only to encounter failure and a harsh truth, while Polka Kakamond, and likely many others, fixated on making the future a reality. They each were plagued by the knowledge of the future, but in different ways. Many that wish for this knowledge, be it those who seek the Temple of Nous or even the followers of Terminus, will end up learning a very difficult lesson, that the future is not worth knowing because you can't change it. You either end up regretting the future you see and not wanting it, so you work to prevent it, or you become consumed with trying to make it a reality that you forsake your present, not knowing how the future might actually unfold. That's the point of this video, that no good comes from thinking, knowing and living only in the future. But let me unravel one more layer to all of this. One last point or purpose that I'm sure you didn't see coming but proves what I'm saying. You see, while I might have implied that knowing too much or being too curious about the future is a mistake and that is the ultimate message of this video, in truth, I made this video purely to shamelessly plug all my other videos. See, without knowing how this video ends, you ruthlessly followed what I was saying all the way until the end. You, like all the others I've spoken about up till this point, were entranced by a future you thought would come to pass. One that, from the title of the video, made you think that this video had a compelling theory or story. In truth, it was all an illusion, one fabricated to shamelessly plug my other videos and advertise them. But now that you know the truth, then I'm sure you feel empty and perhaps even angry because it feels like you wasted your time on 10 minutes worth of shameless plugs and thus, at the end of all of it, nihility wins. Speaking of nihility, if you want to disappear on the internet, NordVPN has you covered with a 3-month, I'm just kidding. I don't have an ad deal with NordVPN and the point of this video is about the future stuff I mentioned. I just thought it was funny how many videos I was shamelessly plugging and I wanted to make a joke out of it. In any case, both Fuxuan and potentially Polka Kakamond are really two sides of the same coin. Fuxuan wanted to change the future but realized she couldn't, while Polka Kakamond wanted to ensure it happened despite having no real control over it. Both of them likely will never get what they want, but are burdened by the future and their failures one way or another, and is likely why Nous stopped sharing what it knows about the future. This theory also paints Polka Kakamond in a slightly different light, and I look forward to seeing how it might actually play out when such a zealot meets the individual who can change fate and end up proving their god wrong. Do you think Polka Kakamond is a fanatic of Nous, or is she killing the members of the society for another reason altogether? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you found the video entertaining, do consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and as usual, have a nice day.